We are sitting here with Leo Spitz from
BidMaster Solutions.
What kind of master are you?
So BidMaster Solutions is a company that helps businesses obtain government contracts in that world of government contracts.
So anything related, if I have a company that I want to have a contract, I want to try to get into the government, having them as a customer, a client, you're the address to connect me.
So I'll tell you, so government contracts is something that a lot of companies would love to get into, but it's very complex. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of regulations. There's so many questions that people have, and because of that, what they tend to do is just not get into that world of government contracts. We try to build that bridge, that gap, and basically help companies obtaining government contracts by doing all those difficult work that's required, that's involved to get those government contracts.
And why should someone go to you rather than?
I tell people, government contracts, we don't sell secrets. I don't believe there's secrets in the trade. When you do something all day, every day, you just know what you're doing. You become an expert at it. That's at the simple level. We do it all day. We experience it, and Baruch Hashem, that's our sole expertise is government contracts in that space fully. There's another important thing that we do is the certification department, which is woman and minority owned, is that government, specifically, let's say the state of New York, requires that 30% of contracts must go to a woman and minority.
Oh, wow.
And there's many benefits to that. You could actually, when you bid a government contract, there are a lot of contracts that state that if you're a woman and minority, you could be 10% more. That means you bid for $1 million, I bid for 1.1, a little slightly less than that. I will get the contract because I'm certified as a woman and minority.
Oh, wow.
Additionally, 30% of government contracts, you must now go sub it out to a woman and minority. So people are left, I got to find someone that's certified. Most of our clients that reach out for certification, they call us desperately because they get so many requests that they're trying to, people are asking them, are you certified? We will give you this contract. If you're certified, we will give it to you. Yes.
Wow. So basically it's good that a company should be the owner, it should be a woman.
Woman or minority, yes. People on the Hasidish, people always, there was some recent news if Hasidim are minority. We got a lot of phone calls. The harsh reality is, that's the facts, is currently, I'm not saying it's not going to change, Hasidish people are not considered minority. Hasidics. Actually, it's MBDA, which is I think it stands for the Minority Business Development Agency, which is, they work with the federal, with the SBA. They actually released, not too long ago, a MOA, Memorandum of Understanding, of that we're going to consider Hasidic Yidden as minority. So that's
it's something that we fought for that. People don't know.
But people don't realize, let me tell you this, people don't realize that the MBDA always considered Hasidic Yidden as minority even before this whole Maisa. What happened was there was a lawsuit, and they basically said that how does it make sense that a Syrian Jew is nicht a minority? Hasidic guy, yeah, what, your pious turned into minority? The guy goes off the derech, where's the start, where's the end? So because of that lawsuit, they stopped it. They said you have to prove that you're disadvantaged, and from my understanding is that I think it was the Jewish Commerce was able to work out an agreement that they'll consider Yidden as minority. But it does not help for what we do, which is government contracts where the geld is. I don't know if it helps for corporate, I don't get involved. It's very possible for banks and corporate, it does help. But right now, it does not help at all for what people care about, especially with grants. When you win a lot of grants, you need to give out a lot of the work. Your low voltage, your fencing, your doors. You got to go now and find a woman and minority company.
So if there's, let's say, a person that owns a business, he can make his wife as the owner?
No. So especially the state, whatever we thought of, the state thought much more. The drishas, the chakiras, they go beyond. It's probably easier to get a mortgage, to get a line of credit. It's probably easier to get almost anything today because it's very simple. They know that this certification can be worth for certain companies millions of dollars.
Of course.
The people, the Haimish Yidden that told me to my face, we had a $2 million, someone showed me once, he had a $2 million contract. He lost it, they had no choice but to go to the competitor. And we had that outside Maisa. We had clients that are certified woman minority owned, that they kicked off other subs off the job and gave them for one reason and one reason only. They were certified woman owned.
Well, it's not an easy thing.
But it's very difficult to obtain. It's very easy to get denied. Very, very easy. There are so many little details and little rules that people don't realize that's enough to get you disqualified. You can't just put it on your wife's name, put it that way. Much more difficult.
So first, if someone wants to reach out to you, give them the number. I have several other questions, but first.
845-274-3580, WhatsApp. You can email us, info@bidmastersolutions.com. You could call us. We'll take your call.
Okay, that's one. And that's important. So if you think you can have anything that is related to the government contracts, bidding, you should reach out to you.
Yes,
that's the first step.
Yes, that's the first step. But we're not saying the government contracting space is for you. There are plenty of industries we don't recommend going into, whether it's too competitive, or there's just not enough teichen, not enough bids all the time. I always say the government sells everything. They're your biggest seller. They're the biggest buyer. They buy the trillions of dollars, but it doesn't mean it's worth for you to put so much energy and focus to go after those few contracts that are far and in between.
So basically, one of my questions was, I was going to ask you is what kind of trades it have? Basically everything.
Yes and no. Right now, so there are two components. We're very heavily focused in the construction. I would say 75 to 80% of our clients are construction based. What I mean by that is subs.
Maybe it's because there's a lot of Hamish people that are doing that. That's why they get to you.
Possibly. It's very possible that's just the market. I would say 75 to 80% I would say is construction, and then we got the other side, which is supplies, furniture, those type of things is a whole, that type of space, which is supplies.
Let's get to something that I heard about bidding there's a 485X. What's that?
So the 485X, we got a lot of phone calls recently. It's a tax abatement. On a simple level means, I always see I get this question a lot. The people that know about 45X, they usually call you because they know all about it and they know what they need. But the 45X is a tax abatement. But in order to get that tax abatement, which means to get credits for that taxes, you must use, just like the state uses 30% of women and minority, you must find 25% women and minority contractors. So now if you want to get your tax abatement, you have to utilize 25% of, you're building a massive building, you need $100 million budget, you got to give $25 million to women and minority certified companies.
So that's not an easy thing.
No, but there is, with the 45X, there is a way easier application process. You should definitely, the people that need it, you should definitely reach out to us. We can really, really help you. It's a much easier process because they utilize other certifications, other states. With the 45X specifically, it's definitely worth a call.
Okay, I'll call you soon. What is the hottest trade now?
I would say someone asked this question to me recently. I would tell you right now, the hottest trade is plumbing. Plumbing. Right now, we see it a lot. There are literally bids. I can't say I saw this often. Nobody is showing up to the bids.
Why?
Because in the government contracting, it's almost like a closed circle. Eventually, when you get into the space, you know your competitors, you know the people, and what happens is their bellies are full. And the main reason why people don't understand this, I'll explain it very simple. The main reason why, when it comes to government contracts, that you can't do more work, is that most government contracts require a bond. A bond is very similar to insurance. It means you're doing a $5 million job, they've never heard of you, you got to get a bond. Every bond company is going to limit you. So let's say you got $5 million worth of bonding. After $5 million worth of winning, you can't bid anymore. So right now, plumbing is the hottest trade by far, if I had to tell you.
Okay, I don't see myself getting into plumbing the near future. So I'm out of this. Well, how about marketing?
I would actually say marketing is a very difficult contract to try to obtain, mainly because it's talent-based. Anything that's talent-based, whether it's marketing, architecture, engineering, all those stuff that are talent, why are you charging more XYZ? It's a much more difficult contract to obtain. But if it's a very black and white contract, if it's a paving contract, it's a low voltage contract, it's about your price. Mainly about your price. Yes, they're going to look into your expertise and look into your references, etc. But it's ultimately about your price. Most of those type of contracts are about your price. When it comes to marketing, it's actually a whole different way of winning the contract, a whole different point system, and it's very, very difficult to obtain. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it so quickly.
Okay, so this is also off. Another interesting question. I have several companies in the corporate world, my clients. It was quite tough to get into them. But once I'm in, Baruch Hashem, it's the last few years and it's moving.
So
I think
government,
that's
government contracts are very, very similar. It's very hard to break into. To get your first government contract is very, very hard.
But not when you are involved. Then it's easier.
It's still hard. Because ultimately we're representing you. It's you. It's you that's getting the government contract, and you're coming into the government without the experience, and the government knows that. So you're not going to win such a large contract. Doesn't make sense to give you such a large contract. But on a simple level, when it comes to government contracting, it's a ladder. It's a slow ladder. But eventually you become very big. The people that made it very big, a lot of people, all they see is the end result. They see this neighbor of theirs, the famous guy in town who made hundreds of millions, through government. They don't realize the early days, it's just a ladder, you got to climb it. To be very specific.
Steiner. No, I mean, it's Steiner.
It's like difficult. Yeah. I would tell you that on a simple level, to be very specific, the government contract, most of them, would only let you your cap. So let's say you have your 3 largest projects where $500,000, you're not going to get a contract above $1 million. They're going to say up to 100%. Very rare, they'll even give you more than that. So you have to give also you list your 3 recent jobs that are similar, whether it's government, other government jobs or schools, at least something very similar. Otherwise, they're not going to even look at you.
Leo, there's an interesting discussion. There's a lot that I still don't know. It's an interesting field. But you're the expert in this. Let's wrap it up with one question that's not related about this topic. If someone is thinking about opening anything, as someone that has a lot of experience in business and all kinds of, what would be your first advice for a newcomer?
Jump into it, make many mistakes, but get back up. That's what I've been doing my whole life.
Sheva Yipol Tzadik, there's stuff, just keep it moving. Keep it moving, make more mistakes. As long as you're moving, you're doing all right. The second you stop, you're done. 100%. It's so important. People don't know that in order to succeed, you have to have failure. Would you be ready to talk about failure in an upcoming episode?
I'm still doing failures. I still have failures. Every day I look back, I'll never forget this. I went a different business of mine. And it was the early days, so I was literally on the streets, like climbing up. And I remember, and it was a Geisha thing that I was involved with. It wasn't the Heimische Welt. And I remember there was a Hatzi-Tatzi couple, and I was doing anything to get out there. And they were laughing at me, like, "Oh, you're so naive. You thought you could help. This other person could help you." And they were right. This other person convinced me, "Let's get on a call. Let's get on a meeting." It was a waste of time, to a certain degree. But the reality is, I got on a meeting with him, and then this, and I moved. And they're probably still sitting there with their heads, and their nose in the air. They're just they're very chashuv. And I moved on. I'm way more ahead of where I was then.
Well, Hashem, that's important. It's very important to remember that.
Yes.
I've seen that people are not so excited to talk about failure. They look at themselves, even they are very successful right now. I had hundreds of interviews with people in business, but people are not. I don't know why. By us. Specifically, in the Goyish world, they talk about failure as a given.
Pride. It's pride. It's also pride.
That's how it works.
Because people think that if someone else looks at you as a failure, then you are a failure, and you'll lose respect. That's what I think people think.
You're not a failure if you're succeeding now. That's for sure.
Yeah, people. I'll give you a good example. I with my shear, I give a large shear. And I tell people,
it's not only live; you can watch it on
any time. But I give shiurim, and I tell people, there were days. My first shear that I gave, I think one person showed up.
Oh,
one
that's
person.
A nice.
If nobody showed up, then you're talking to the camera. But my point is, you gotta just keep it moving. Yes, and it's not gonna come quick. It's not gonna come quick. No success comes quick. Very few. Consistency. Yeah, it doesn't. It just you gotta continue. And I always say that 2 things you want to have a tzlocha. There's 2 things: shmiras hanayim and limud Torah.
Ooh, wow. Okay, that's very important. Especially now the summer is up.
Summer's up. Winter, summer doesn't make a difference. 24/7, 365. You do those 2 in today's environment. For our chaver, shmiras hanayim limud Torah, you're fine.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Hey, again. Your number, how to reach
845-274-3580.
Text, WhatsApp.
WhatsApp is better than text. WhatsApp us, or you can email us, you can call us. We'll take care of you.
Thank you so much. Beautiful discussion.
Thank you, Yoilish, for coming. I appreciate it.